Hello there. How you going? It's Tanya here. Hope you had a good week, that the full moon was good to you, and that the full moon hangover hasn't been too hard to recover from. Just here to quickly talk about the week ahead, beginning on Monday the 16th of December. So I've got the charts here just to show you what's going on. And there was one thing that I forgot to mention last week, sitting down on the beach as I was, which was that Chiron went direct on the Friday just gone, so just directly after the full moon. And now Chiron, there's a bit of a thing of like, is it a planet? Is it a comet? Is it an asteroid? I think at the moment it's like classified as a planet / comet. But in astrology, Chiron represents the wounded part of ourselves. In the mythology, Chiron was a magnificent healer, but when he himself became injured, he couldn't heal himself. So it's the part of us which where we have the most to learn and heal from, but what we also have the most to teach others. And at the moment, Chiron is in the sign of Aries, which is very much about ourselves as an individual. It's kind of the me first sign, to put it in a really basic way. So Chiron here in Aries, it's healing our own identity. And as I've said before, when something's in retrograde, when a planet's in retrograde, it's a time for self-reflection. So that would have added an extra layer to all of the other planetary energy lately. And, hopefully we have found, we've unlocked some of that. And now that Chiron's gone direct, we can use some of that. We've, hopefully been able to release a lot more of our own, negative beliefs and thought patterns that have been holding us back. And we can now move forward and use all of that as we come into 2020. So that's pretty exciting. That's quite nice. The other sort of big things that are happening this week, like we've still got this massive stellium of planets in Capricorn for most of the week. The thing that I wanted to talk about with Venus here, she's this is her last few days in the sign of Capricorn, and because Venus, part of her role is to do with money and values and attraction, and Capricorn can be a bit of a barren sign, I guess, for want of a better word, but it's all about austerity in some ways, and especially because she's been hanging out with Saturn and Pluto here. Saturn can be very much about discipline, and when the two of them were together, there could have been a bit of financial discipline coming up for you. So a little tip, if you don't want to overspend on gifts for people, do your shopping while Venus is still in Capricorn, because she'll teach you to be a little bit more discerning. You won't be as impulsive. You'll buy things that might be a little bit more practical and bring a bit more value to people's lives. Whereas, in another sign, like say Venus when she's in Sag, like you might have, that's a bit of an overspending type of a thing going on there. So, so it's very good, I think, for our own pockets and for the environment and all the rest of it, to have Venus here in Capricorn. And I've actually just finished my own shopping, so I feel pretty good about it. So if you can get to the shops in the next week, before the weekend, before she goes into Aquarius, then I highly recommend that you do. So that brings me on to the next little thing that I wanted to chat about with you today, about the week. So Venus will move into Aquarius on the 21st, on Saturday the 21st. And then on the 22nd, we have the solstice. So that that's quite nice. We've so in the southern hemisphere, it's our summer solstice, and in the northern hemisphere, it's your winter solstice. So depending if it's summer, it means we have the longest daylight hours. In the northern hemisphere, it's the shortest daylight hours, and they have different energies with them. So the idea is that at the spring equinox, we set our intentions for the year ahead. It's like we're sowing our seeds, laying the groundwork of what we want to grow over the next year. When it comes to the summer solstice, that's a time for us to see how our seeds are growing, and whether we want to keep going, how aligned we are to them, or whether we need to, I don't know, try a different fertilizer on them to realign and see how we're going. And it's also a time for celebration. So that does bring up, Christmas and everything else as well. So it's sort of the perfect time for us here. In the winter, this is a time where we actually we hibernate a little bit. We go into ourselves and we rest. And you prune away what you don't need, to give yourself that natural moment to rest and reflect. So if you do get a chance, I know it can be a very busy time of year, but if you're in the northern hemisphere, make sure you give yourself, some time to just chill out and to sort of ease back on the things that you were doing, so that when springtime does come around for you, when the equinox hits for you in March, you do have that energy to go forward and to plant something new. And then for us in the southern hemisphere, this is us sort of getting ready to move forward and get things moving and happening. So that's pretty exciting. The other thing here is that we've got this T-square that's happening between Venus, Uranus, and the moon. And so that can bring a bit of tension. And really, so we've got Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, which is all about groups and friendships. And, Venus here at this time of year, really nice. You're going to have some really nice interactions with the people in your life, and good times for celebrations. But on this particular day, just be aware that you don't let your emotions get the better of you, because with this aspect here between the moon and Uranus, you can feel that emotions towards people kind of get the better of you. So just take a breath. If someone is triggering you, walk away. Don't let it explode into a big fight. Just really let yourself simmer down, and to put your own needs first as well. Like, you can just push the tension out through just by saying, look, I need to walk away from this situation, take a breath, like don't react straight away. And just to try and keep the peace a little bit, so that these celebrations, because I know some people start to have their family gatherings in the few days leading up to Christmas, especially because this is a weekend. If that's you, just be, really mindful of things, and, that family member that really pushes your buttons, just stay away from them if you need to. Try and keep some distance from it. So that will only last for like a day or two. So it's not really going to be something that that you need to be aware of. But it's just on this particular day, it's going to be heightened on the solstice. And then the next part of it is that we've got the sun moving into the sign of Capricorn. So we end our Sagittarius season, which I feel like has just flown by. Like, personally, I felt like Scorpio season took forever. But mainly that was because we had the Mercury retrograde there, and we had a lot of planets traveling through Scorpio. So there was a lot of deep energy there. Sag season has just flown by in a flurry. And yeah, we begin Capricorn. So we still have a whole heap of planets here in Capricorn, and the sun is joining them. And, it's an opportunity for us to really, to be grounded in what we want to do, because being an earth sign, Capricorn's very grounding. It's also has cardinal energy, so a good time to really get started in grounding things in our lives. So, and it's also got this opposition here from Jupiter to the North Node. So it's about expanding our horizons. So, you know, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a chance for you to really get going and get cracking on things. The Northern Hemisphere with your winter solstice, you know, perhaps it's more doing the inner work of thinking about where you want to go rather than the outer work. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Things are moving and happening. After Christmas on Boxing Day, there's going to be a new moon eclipse in Capricorn, and that kicks off eclipse season, but that's something that I'll talk about next week. It's going to be pretty exciting. I think a lot of people are sort of freaking out, I think, from what I've seen on the internet of like, oh, you know, we're going to have Saturn and Pluto conjunct next year, and we've got eclipses and blah, blah, blah. But from my perspective, it's all, whatever happens is going to be for the better. And the more we can just prepare for it and trust and let go, the better off we'll be. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. You know, there's a lot of other things happening, but I really feel like Venus is probably the biggest part of this week, especially because she relates, she's all about relating to others and love and friendship, being in the sign of Aquarius. So it fits in for this year. We're still working to grow and expand. Starting next year, I'm going to be doing some more intention setting online things happening around the moons. I won't do it this year because it's Boxing Day, and I feel like everybody's just going to be lying back, rubbing their bellies. But in January, I will start that with the new moon in Aquarius. So that'll be really fun. The other thing is too, if you are looking for a gift for somebody in your life, I do have gift vouchers available for readings. So, you know, give someone the gift of a guidebook for the year ahead, so they know exactly how all of these transits and eclipses and things will play out for them, and what their big themes are going to be. And you know, that fits in with that nice practical value added gift that that Venus is playing out with for this week. So have a good week, and I'll chat to you all next week. And you know, let me know how you go, and if you have any questions, drop that in the comments as well. Cool. All right, see ya. Mwah.